sitting one time doing like 100 interviews in a day, and they're all television interviews, and they're you kind of just sit there and they bring these people in and out and in and out, and you're sitting in the same place. It's a junket, exactly, and it's like you don't, no fresh air, no windows, no nothing. And I remember one time I actually fell asleep in the middle of one. This guy kind of walked in. It was number like 70 something.
A sprawling estate packed with carnival rides and exotic animals, and a question that has trailed one of showbiz's most scrutinized friendships for more than 20 years. Did anything ever happen to Macaulay Culkin at Neverland? Culkin has faced that question more times than most people face in a lifetime, under oath, on camera, in interviews given years later, when he had nothing left to gain and nothing left to lose. And each time, his answer has stayed exactly the same.
To him the way most people did. Most people like Michael Jackson. And, he was a god to people. And to me, he was, I knew he was a pop singer, but beyond that, I wasn't one of the fans. I think that's one of the reasons why we connected, was the fact that, believe me, I call him a jerk all the time. I call him a fathead and this and that.
Before we step into the courtroom, it helps to know how this friendship began in the first place, because it explains a lot about why Culkin's family ended up so wrapped up in the story. Michael Jackson and Macaulay Culkin first met in 1990, right as Culkin's career was taking off after Home Alone. Jackson reportedly made the first move. He was a fan of the movie, and the two formed a bond that lasted for the rest of Jackson's life. Culkin wasn't just some kid Jackson met once in passing. He became a regular fixture in Jackson's world, and Jackson became a regular fixture in the Culkin family's world as well.
Super Soakers are really high tech. They got some really great ones now. That's Mac's older brother, Shane. Okay, we're preparing the water balloon fight.
That's a key detail a lot of people skip over. This wasn't a case where a child showed up alone. Culkin's parents and siblings were involved constantly. They traveled with him, stayed at the ranch alongside him, and by every account were treated like extended family. From there, they began spending time together at Neverland, playing all sorts of games around the property, and Michael Jackson soaked up the fun like a kid himself. In a way, he truly became one whenever Culkin was around, reviewing his playful side. On top of that, Michael Jackson and Macaulay Culkin once pulled off a wild, chaotic prank on director John Landis. It happened right after wrapping the iconic Black or White music video. Landis had spent the week teasing the pair, so they decided to get him back. Michael kept Landis occupied with a fake, overly formal thank you speech. But while Landis was focused on listening, Culkin crept up from behind and smashed a giant pie straight into the director's face.
A wonderful job.
Yeah.
John? Because
what, Mac? John. Mac.
Back in June 1991, Michael Jackson and Macaulay Culkin went on a well-known week-long trip to Bermuda, a getaway Jackson later called full of playful mischief and childhood fun. Me and Mac we're in Bermuda, and we're looking for some interesting treasure.
Me and Mac we're in Bermuda, and we're looking for some interesting treasure. Mac and I would go on vacation together, and Mac is very smart, and he's very ingenious in causing trouble. But it's his idea.
Yes. I'm not going to try this one.
And we were in Bermuda together, and we were signing water balloons. He had me signing water balloons, and he was throwing these balloons at the fans on the balcony.
Neverland itself, though, was designed as a child's dream come true. A fully functioning amusement park with its own Ferris wheel, carousel, bumper cars, movie theater, and a private zoo home to elephants, giraffes, and chimpanzees. Jackson regularly opened its gates to sick children through groups like Make-A-Wish. It also turned into a kind of open house for celebrities, their kids, and Jackson's wider group of young friends. This is the Neverland Culkin says he actually knew. Rides, games, a place that felt, as he's put it over the years, like being a kid at an endless carnival alongside a friend who happened to be the biggest pop star alive.
Mac is the most reckless driver. Oh my God. You almost killed him. It's his brother Kieran on the back. Did you see that, Lee? Your foot is ran over.
Now, here's where the story most people are familiar with truly begins. In 2003, Michael Jackson faced multiple criminal charges tied to allegations from a 13-year-old boy named Gavin Arvizo. The case reached trial in 2005 in Santa Barbara County and turned into one of the most closely followed criminal trials in American history. Because Culkin had spent so much of his childhood at Neverland, and because prosecutors were attempting to build a pattern of behavior, he was brought in as a defense witness. This was a huge moment. By then, Culkin had largely retreated from public life. He wasn't hitting the press circuit or chasing headlines, yet he appeared in person and testified under oath. When Culkin finished his testimony in Michael Jackson's molestation trial, he told the jury he had never been molested by the superstar. So what exactly did he say? Culkin testified that nothing inappropriate ever took place between them at Neverland, not once. He described the property as having what he called an open door policy, meaning family members, friends, and other guests were constantly coming and going. This wasn't some isolated, locked-away environment. People were around all the time.
Actor Macaulay Culkin arrived and left the courthouse here in Santa Maria with very little fanfare. His testimony didn't last too long. In a very clear and strong voice, he told the jury Michael Jackson never touched him inappropriately. He also spoke about the sleeping arrangements, a topic that became such a major part of the public debate surrounding Jackson. Culkin said his parents were fully aware of how those arrangements worked whenever he stayed at the ranch, and that they never once raised any concern about it.
Remember they did he was in the black and white video at one point. I guess the two of them had a close relationship.
They were very dear friends. I met with Macaulay the night before I called him as a witness. I met with he and his New York lawyer. He had an entertainment lawyer with him. And the lawyer was nervous as can be. And about what this might do to his career and what it might do to him. And he was very concerned about his client, which I understand completely. Macaulay, on the other hand, was...
The lead attorney handling Jackson's defense at that time was Tom Mazzaro, and he has spoken publicly several times since about how important Culkin's testimony turned out to be for the case. Having someone with Culkin's fame and credibility willing to sit before a jury and flatly deny anything ever happened carried genuine weight inside that courtroom.
Choreography, the most amazing performance. I mean, nobody would see anything like this. And he was very, very sensitive. What was he facing in the courtroom? First of all, the prosecution claimed he had masterminded a criminal conspiracy. He was the mastermind, they said, to abduct children.
On June 13, 2005, the jury found Michael Jackson not guilty on all 10 counts, including charges of misconduct, conspiracy, and giving an intoxicating agent to a minor. The trial ran roughly 5 months and featured dozens of witnesses. Culkin's testimony was just one part of a much bigger case, but it stood out as one of the most discussed moments of the whole proceeding, simply because of who he was. Here's what sets Culkin's story apart from so many others connected to Jackson. He didn't just testify once back in 2005 and vanish from the conversation. He kept getting asked about it throughout his career, and his answer never wavered.